Radio Free Skaro.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Radio Free Skaro, episode number 740. I am Stephen in Edmonton.
We're in Vancouver.
And Chris in Edmonton on your AM dial, CBC 740.
CBC, that's right, here, and that's a very targeted joke to A, Edmonton listeners, and B, people who listen on AM.
And people listen to CBC, which is not that many.
Oh, no. Are you kidding me? The CBC radio, like the news radio, is the second most listened to station in this market. Yeah. So,
see, the thing is, I grew up on CBC 740. I'm a loyal 740ist,
right?
but I'm surprised anybody else listens to it.
Oh no, yeah, it is. No, sorry, Ward. Whoa, just like that, we backed our way into a stat segment. That's amazing.
Oh, damn it! I feel sullied.
This week, here we are, folks. Here it is. It's finally happening. The Patreon supporters already heard it. Our commentary that we recorded in one sitting, one very long sitting of Frontier in Space and Planet of the Daleks we did in one day with special guests. The first two episodes of that, Frontier in Space, episodes 1 and 2, are on this very podcast. The next 6 weeks, we'll be watching Doctor Who and talking about it. Let's all just watch some Doctor Who for an hour a week and get through these next six weeks and see where we are in the world. That's kind of a thing. So there, this is what happens. I hope you got your Series 10 or John Pertwee Season 3-4 Blu-ray at the hand because you'll need it for these episodes of the podcast. And as you've noticed in recent weeks, we've brought people on to talk about their experiences with COVID-19 and the pandemic and living with it. And, we had Steve Barry on from Big Finish earlier. We had Rob Sherman, of course, has a new book out and also suffered through the symptoms. We had a great interview with Robert Smith from the University of Ottawa, and of course, who is the Doctor and who is the Doctor 2 last week to give us summing up. And now we're just bringing on friends who we haven't talked to in a while, and we feel it would be fun to talk to on a podcast. And so there we bring in one of our oldest friends. And I don't mean age, I mean as long as we've known him, even though we joked about age before we pressed record. It's Chip Sudderth from 2 Minute Time Lord. Hello, Chip.
Hey, guys.
How you doing? How you holding in there? How you holding up?
It's been exhausting, guys. I don't know about you, but it's been a lot. 2MTL's finally back. I've got an episode of 2 Minute Time Lord out right now. Me and Graham talking about being fans in the age of COVID-19 and also talking about his book. But it's been so much. I've been one of those folks who's been working so much more from home that it took a while for me to find the gas in the tank to start podcasting again. So it's great to be talking with you guys about Doctor Who.
I know what you mean. Like, there's nothing like being someone with creative ambitions and always saying, well, I'll get to that when I have time. And then the world calls your bluff and says
in two different ways.
Guess what?
I'm in the same boat.
You are at home. Yeah,
no.
You're at home all the time now. Remember all that time you wanted? You've got it now. You have no commute to worry about if you spent 2 hours a day getting to and from work anymore. Well, guess what? That's gone. So what's your excuse now, bucko? And then you suddenly go, I don't want to do anything anymore. And I've had a hard time with that. So I completely sympathize with that, Chip.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, my job involves now a lot of Zoom video conferences, a lot of them.
Like proper work ones we're talking about here too. Not like all our hey, all of our friends, let's gather together and talk on Zoom for a bit and look at our cats.
Yeah. No. So you work your day and you check your emails and you do your job plus you do all the extra stuff, and then at the end of the day, if you don't have anything left in the tank, it's hard to get back in front of that very same computer and do a podcast or edit a podcast or something like that. So I've been trying to spend more time with the fam and trying to just sort of take it easy. And I think that's what I needed to do. And anybody who's feeling pressured to take advantage of this time at home to paint the Sistine Chapel, shouldn't feel bad about not having gas in the tank for painting the Sistine Chapel.
You know what's going to feel even worse is that when the time comes that we can actually emerge from our geodesic domes and
blinking, stepping into the sun,
and enter the world again, is like, oh, I had months to do that video project and I still put it off, and then so everyone's going to feel sort of this lamentation of a missed opportunity. But that's just not the mindset right now, for a lot of people. And we're lucky,
I guarantee you I won't be feeling that. I'll just be happy to be hanging out with my Doctor Who fan friends in real life again.
Whenever that day may happen. I mean, there's some of us who are a little more extroverted than others. I mean, some people might look at this going, finally, I have a reason to not go anywhere. But in some ways, like I almost like I'm an extroverted introvert. I think I talk when as a survival mechanism, if anything. But I want to have the opportunity to turn social occasions down, and now I don't have that opportunity anymore. And it's that's the great inconvenience is really the one worst thing about this global pandemic that we're living through right now. It's not really, but no. I also understand that we're all very privileged in that we have, situations where we can Zoom from our homes and stuff and have like multiple creative projects on the go and indeed have jobs that we can actually do from home. Erica has been working from home for the past month and a bit, and she loves it. She loves it more than when she goes into actual work. But I know that a lot of people don't have that opportunity. So it's different circumstances. I don't want to come across like, oh boy, we're all just so bored during this global pandemic when we know friends of ours who are like literally like frontline workers working in hospitals and stuff in the U.S. trying to solve the real problems in this world. So we do recognize our privilege.
I will say though that I think I've finally hit the point where Doctor Who is feeding me again after the initial stress of staying at home and all that. We finally reached a point where, like, one of my favorite tweet-along episodes, Doctor's Wife, which I've always adored, that was blessedly scheduled on a weekend when those of us in North America didn't have to be working. Yeah. So I was able to participate in that. The content that the BBC is providing, the short stories, the YouTube stories, of which I'm sure we'll talk in a bit, I'm finally to a point where I can appreciate that, and it's making me feel better. I'm recognizing that there's new Doctor Who for me.
Well, I had to. I mean, you've sort of been like, I always had an idea. Let's bring Chip on at some point during this, and what clinched it for me, honestly, was the second they announced that they were doing a live tweet-along for Journey's End and Stolen Earth, which happened this past Sunday, with like RTD and like everyone was like basically everyone who's in that final TARDIS scene was in some way contributing to the live tweet. I thought, this is Chip's moment. This is it right here. This is his. Yeah, it's like all your shiny happy spite initially that launched to MTL way back when, and suddenly,
because the three of you kept crapping on an episode I loved.
We did, and now I thought, you know what? Here we are. This is your time. This is your time. Did you enjoy that? Were you there for that one at least?
I was there. Yeah. I was totally there. And it was a lot of fun. It was also mildly jarring to see how TV and how Doctor Who have changed, even though I like to think that I haven't changed, and I'm not a day older than I was when I first saw it. It was so bonkers and operatic in a way that, with the possible exception of the Timeless Children, Doctor Who has not been that big and broad and just off the chain in so many years.
I like the use of the word operatic. That's actually pretty pretty appropriate because of how large and over the top and big those 2 episodes are. And that's just like, that's the cast, the story, like everything is just so huge.
Yeah,
It throws you into what's happening.
Yeah, there's even like a big giant like operatic choir happening whenever the Daleks are on screen. It does feel like Flash Gordon as Doctor Who in some ways.
Right, and I draw the analogy to the Timeless Children. Time Lord Cybermen, Sasha Darwin just chewing up scenery left and right.
He was Eric Roberts 2.0 for sure.
There are some similarities there, but it was very different. Even catching up with the Doctor's wife in comparison, there's a lot of daylight between the end of season 4 and the middle of season 6.
Oh yeah. It's interesting to look back at the styles, isn't it, of Doctor Who that seems relatively recent to us, but then you realize how, not so much like time-wise, how much time has happened between some episodes and like now, but it's just like the styles have changed so much. Like that Matt Smith era is just so bonkers and madcap. Like we watched The Snowman because Erica is watching it for Verity, and it just felt like this feels like a madcap 1930s comedy, and like this is just not at all what Doctor Who is now, but it was back in Christmas of 2012
with big names like Richard E. Grant and Ian McKellen in there, for crimity's sake.
I know. Like
another example, Jenny and I we watched Jodie's stuff first, and now we're going back to Capaldi's stuff, and there's a big contrast if you ever want to have one.
Oh, for goodness sake!
How far into Capaldi are you?
Near the end of the first season.
What's her take on the grumpy Capaldi Doctor for season 8?
She's liking him so far. I think she likes Jodie better, but I don't want to speak for her. But I think she's not minding it. It's definitely different than it was, and I had to explain a few things because of the timey way we were doing it. Like, this is the Paternoster Gang. Here's a bunch of stuff you don't know, but here's some other classic Who stuff they're referencing. Now ignore all that.
Yeah. And it's nice to be reminded that all of the different genres that classic Doctor Who went through, the fact that every few years the aesthetic just completely changed. It's nice being able to sort of look back on these modern episodes that Emily's been setting up so brilliantly and wonderfully, and seeing all of the contrasts there, and realizing that that Modern Who is not a thing. It's been several things already.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, I mean, late last year I bought the Tennant Blu-ray set, and I'm not the world's biggest David Tennant fan, and never will be.
No,
but going back through it, number one, you kind of touched on it earlier, Chip, just how different it is. Like, oh my goodness, this is only 12 years back. Well, 12 years that he ended the run, more or less, but it's just the storytelling, the acting, the camera work, just the the SD-ness of it that has to be up-res for the Blu-rays. Like there's
I'm stealing that, by the way.
There's a lot of stuff that's just like just not the same as it is now, and we get used to the more recent stuff, and the lenses and cameras and such that Chibnall's era is using, and so on. But Stephen, the one thing I've appreciated with having rewatched that era is just the time and the distance. Definitely helped to, and I've said this before on the podcast, it helped to let me like it more than I did. Still not a fan, but I mean, I was able to appreciate it more.
You can always appreciate stories that you didn't like at the time, because at that time it was the only new episode that you have that you've seen ever, basically, because it's like, oh wow, I've seen every single Doctor Who episode except this one that I'm about to watch. But now you could sort of pop in and like go back and say, you know what, I'm going to watch Delta and the Bannermen or Paradise Towers, because I know that there are other episodes that I enjoy more that I could watch after it. There's not that choice, but the fact that you were presented with the new episode, and if you don't like it, well, guess what? that's the new episode that everyone watched, and so there's a slight
and also especially with Moffat, it builds up to something, and when you watch it afterwards, it doesn't build up to something; it's on its own. So
yeah.
Or you saw a really exceptionally good one the last week, and then, or you're waiting for something to happen at the finale, or there's a whole bunch of stuff that just doesn't matter anymore. So you can take it on its own.
Mm-hmm.
I think the time and the distance thing, Warren, might be a good chance for you to go back and revisit some stuff that you're less keen on.
No, I'm not watching McCoy again. I've never stopped hating him. I never will stop hating him.
Yeah.
Fenrich's okay. Daleks was always good. The end.
Well, that's like
and also Eric Roberts 2.0. I don't think Sasha Dewan deserves that.
No, that's like a 6. That's like a 6 of all McCoy right there. You just praised 1/6 of his entire tenure. I mean, that's not too bad.
Yeah, and that's as good as it's going to get. So
just under 1/6 if you want to include dimensions and time. I suppose
it used to be people emailed me and told me just how wrong I was and how I had to watch that. I'm like, no, read the books. No, it's not going to happen.
Don't read the books.
Give it up. There's some okay Big Finish stuff. I'll give you that.
Although I'm finally, I'm slowly working my way through the season 26 Blu-ray. But what I've done, because I don't know about you cats, but I mean, just having a mental busy work project, and, in lieu of actually like doing creative endeavors, which is tough. There's like 3 on my plate that I want to do, and I just haven't been able to summon the courage to do it. So what I did, I did something that perhaps Warren will find annoying and Chris might find enticing.
Erotic.
Possibly. I decided I need something to sort of keep my mind occupied for hopefully a month or two. It's probably going to take less than that. I bought like a big hard drive, and I'm ripping every single one of my Doctor Who DVDs, VAM and all, to this hard drive. Partly to have, just so I have all the Doctor Who episodes I want on a hard drive, but also just give me something to just keep hammered away at, chipping at. Give me a rock garden to sort of like tend to each day. And
that's what I'm doing with Learning the Avid. It's like not that creative, but I want to know it after 20 odd years of not knowing it. So
yeah.
Well, Stephen.
Yes, Chip.
There is one thing
that
you could do.
Okay.
For me.
Oh, all right.
2 words.
Huh?
Chronic. Hysteresis.
I've got 12 episodes left, I think.
It's only been sitting there for how many years?
It's been sitting there. So for those that don't know, and I have to refresh my own memory on this, I did a blog. So when the first Doctor Who gap year happened in 2009, I thought, let's fill this gap year with me watching every single episode of Doctor Who and write a blog about it. Literally no one else did that. Of course, I lied. Toby Haydock and Rob Sherman wrote a book about it that's still waiting for a third volume.
Tumblr did it in its entirety.
Everyone did it. I did it too. Anyway, it took more than a year. I was very gung-ho about it up until, I don't know, halfway through the run, maybe a little later than that, and then I just completely ran out of steam. But the reason I wanted to write the blog in the first place is because I had opinions of the TV movie. So about halfway through the run, as I was starting to slow down, I think I need to get these ideas out for the TV movie and put that in the blog and save it as a draft in there. And so when the time comes for me to get to there, I could just push it out. And so I have had a review for the TV movie sitting there in my drafts for years, almost a decade, waiting to press publish. All I need to go, I stopped at the end of Battlefield. I've got to get through Ghostlight, Curse of Fenric, and Survival, and then I'd hit the TV movie. But there's 12 episodes, not there yet. So I think what might happen is by the time we get to them on Lazy Doctor Who, where Eric and I watch Doctor Who, we just watched episode 1 of The Demons last week. Once we get to the McCoy era is when I'll write my blog posts about those. Maybe.
Okay.
Maybe.
I'm just looking.
These are empty promises.
Very much.
In looking it up, so this is going backward, of course, because that's how it's presented. But yeah, Battlefield Episode 4 was November 1st, 2013.
13. Oh, 2013. Wow. So like the lead up to the 50th anniversary is that, I'm done. That's it. That's all I need.
Battlefield Episode 3 was a few days before, October 29th. And then Battlefield Episode 2 was 5 months before May 23rd.
Yeah.
So even...
Have you turned the stats again?
It's kind of the prototype for Lazy Doctor Who.
I suppose it was, but I suppose in many ways Lazy Doctor Who is like, it's been done. I mean, everyone just sort of does a watch line. But
you also got a book submission out of one of the ones you wrote.
I did. It was Arc of Infinity. That's right. Robert Smith, the aforementioned Robert Smith contact. We kind of use this in a book. So I've been at a book thanks to that. But then again, a lot of us have been at a book because we read about things about Doctor Who. But Anyway, we talked about live tweets and stuff. I meant the Journey's End, Stolen Earth happened last Sunday with RTD and a whole bunch of people involved. I actually participated via the Radio Free Skaro account on the most recent one because Paul Cornell's 2-part story, Human Nature and Family Blood, happened on Friday, where it's mostly him and Charles Palmer via the Lockdown Who account, and then
a staggering amount of bad facts from you.
I had fun. All right. So there was some actual praise, and then worked in with some standard bad facts, which I did not mislead. They were there as humor, hopefully.
And they were pointed out as not true.
That's true. And then the next one's going to be Dalek, which is on April the 30th, the 15th anniversary of the original broadcast of Dalek. So that's the live tweet-along news that Emily Cook has done, moving mountains around to have these things happen. Who knows how many of the how far in advance she's working on these, because some of these take a lot of coordination.
Well, the coordination for sure. But the fact that everything that has come out has had something to go with it, like extra content. So sometimes it's a little story or a little video or something. So we talked about, say, Arthur Darvill's video. I think last week we talked about that. Yeah. But for Human Nature Family of Blood, there was a prequel and an epilogue that were written by Paul and voiced by. The first one had Bernice Summerfield in it, so voiced by Lisa Bowerman, and then and I've already forgotten her name, but the epilogue had the girl who played
Lauren Wilson.
Lauren Wilson.
Yeah.
So I mean, we've got stuff like that happening. So that is going to take some time to write and to narrate and edit and all that kind of stuff. The biggest one so far, which didn't seem like it would be the biggest one. At the outset was the Farewell Sarah Jane.
I haven't watched. I skimmed through it. I haven't either. I don't know if I want the feels right now.
There are so many feels.
There are lots of feels, but it starts off with Jacob Dudman doing the in a recording booth, like for the Rose stuff.
Yeah.
But there's participation from. And Chip, fill in blanks if I forget any people here, but there's Katie Manning, there's Anjali Mahindra, there's he who played Clyde, who I can't remember, there's Tommy Knight, there's do you know Anjali Mahindra is Sacha Dhawan's partner? I didn't know that until this thing came out.
I knew that quite a few weeks ago, actually. Yeah.
Who else was in there? There's the Russell T Davies canonizes Nyssa and Tegan being a couple.
Caused quite the stir online, I saw.
Yeah, which apparently some of them were not all that thrilled about that.
Are you talking about Nyssa and Tegan, or the actors thereof?
One of them, maybe. One of the actors, maybe. I don't want to go too far because
who's the ornery one?
I think Janet Fielding sort of said this. Oh, hanky pike ain't the TARDIS, or something like that. Something to that effect.
She's the only one on Twitter and the only one active in social media, to my knowledge.
Exactly. Yeah. So
who else was in there, Chip? There was a bunch of people in there.
Actress who played Gita.
Yes.
And that was and she had a. There was so much good acting in that piece. It wasn't just so many of these things have been narrated stories, that sort of thing. But this was a long piece. Dudman reads the linking narration, but the actors performing to camera, whether it's iPhone or whatever, they really put themselves into it. They weren't reading cue cards. They were acting. Proper acting. Proper tears.
Luke is said to be in a same-sex relationship as well. Not just Nyssa and Tegan in that. So there's
Does his boyfriend have a belly button? This is the key.
Husband. And yes. Husband and yes, and that is actually brought up.
There you
but there's it's not just like it's obviously it's a remembrance of Liz Sladen, who it was 9 years ago that she died. She passed.
Yeah.
But it's not just a remembrance of Liz Sladen. It's also actual, like, let's add to the Sarah Jane Adventures canon on top of it. Like, there's exposition. There's meat in there as well.
Well, because it never got the end, you know. Sadly, Liz Sladen died, and they only managed to finish half the episodes of that last season, and so we never got that sort of closure, you know.
Yeah, and there was, at the time, I think I remember Russell T Davies saying stuff like, you know, we don't want to do a story about the death of Sarah Jane or whatever. Let's just imagine that she is traveling, that she found the Doctor and is traveling through the universe again, or something like that. I guess time has passed enough that it was time to offer a little bit of closure for Sarah Jane as well as Elizabeth Sladen. But if you haven't seen it yet, the ending still cracks a door, and it's very touching. And it's both memorializing such an important character and such an important time for the show, but reminding us that these characters are always going to be with us.
Sophie Aldred is also in it, as I skimmed through it, and I remember remarking at the time, the voice of Mr. Smith is done by Jacob Dudman. Like, I don't know if they just couldn't get Alexander Armstrong to do, like, he's not even having to appear on camera. He just needs to do a voice, but I guess maybe he's too busy or something. But toward the end, the last person seen is Anjali Mahindra as Ronnie, and there's a point where she just starts breaking down in tears, and I think everybody bros, if they weren't already in tears by that point, they certainly were then.
Yeah, there's some things that I'm taking things with an arm's length approach, I think, when it comes to
same here.
Yeah, I mean, kudos, and maybe that's what people want in their pandemic viewing, but I don't know if I can handle the emotion. Like Chip and I can relate to this. Chip being a recent hockey convert, I should say. Like, I've been watching a lot of old hockey now. Old hockey, like 1970s, 80s, that sort of thing. I've had a hard time watching recent games with players who are still in the NHL, who still play for teams that I know and cheer for. Like, I just feel like, no, it just feels like there's too much sort of emotion and like missed opportunities and chances in that. But I can look back and watch things from like 30 or 40 years ago as they were. But watching something current and sort of like something that's sort of wrapping something up from the past, I don't know, I'm having a hard time with that. So
yeah, same here. My local market has been playing the 2006 Stanley Cup.
That's fine. And we've won 5. We've won 5 Stanley Cups. Okay.
I was going to ask you, Stephen, if you've been rewatching the '83 Cup final.
I've watched lots of them, but anyway, sorry, go on, Chip.
I was just going to say that even that is a little bit too recent and too much like what should be happening now. Yeah, so I have not been watching it.
It's your same arena. You're like, it's the same rink, the same logo. Everything's like there's differences, but there's similarities. Whereas, you know, I don't even necessarily watch old Oilers games. I watch, like, you know, let me tell you, folks, it is glory days on YouTube for old hockey, because there's 3 or 4 accounts that have decided, you know what? Let's post every single video we have. And like I've like relished in Detroit Red Wings versus Atlanta Flames circa 1979 in front of 6,000 fans in the Atlanta Omni. I'm thinking, this is the content that I come to YouTube for right now, because it has like the commercials from those days. I've got like the Little Caesars jingle in my head now because I'm watching it from 1978 Detroit local TV. So this is how I'm coping.
Did the guy? So I know the guy that owns the Red Wings owns Little Caesars. Has he owned it for that long?
No, Mike Ilitch bought the team in 1982, but obviously he was kicking in money for sponsorship and stuff well before that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm kind of surprised that NHL hasn't clamped down on that, because they're greedy.
Well, they do. Sometimes they do, based on some copyright stuff that's within the broadcast itself. But recently, a lot of stuff has sort of slipped through the cracks, thankfully. So I don't know if they're like thinking, just let it go. Come on.
You'd think they would put it up on their app. Like, well, of course, they're idiots, and their app's not very good. But
I think
you'd think you'd be able to get that.
They've put some of them, but not nearly enough for people like me who, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
This is where BritBox, not sponsoring us, does it right.
Doctor Who connection to Mike Ilitch, very tangentially related. Mike Ilitch owned the Detroit Red Wings and the Detroit Tigers, and also paid rent for Rosa Parks during the last years of her life. And of course, Rosa Parks featured in Doctor Who. There you go. Twisting it right back around.
That is very tangential.
Very tangential. Just doing my best. Doing my best here. So Emily Cook through Doctor Who magazine has been doing all these tweet-alongs. They're not actually official Doctor Who related things. BBC America sort of has been jumping in on it a little bit. The Doctor Who official Twitter account is surprisingly silent when it comes to those things. So clearly they're two separate things. They're not really jumping along with it. Do you know what I mean?
I am enjoying that some of these are coming. Like Amazon has been making the episodes for the tweet-alongs available for free.
Yeah. Like, that's pretty cool. Yeah, thank you, Jeff Bezos. Thank you so much for your noble sacrifice.
I'll just be here on my space station.
Yes, sitting at a space station, which is on a yacht in space.
Okay, well, don't confuse him with David Geffen. These are two completely different repulsive billionaires.
That's true. But they have been, like, Chris Chibnall has been actually, like commissioning short stories. Like, Joy Wilkinson wrote a recent one. Paul Cornell wrote one. Pete McTighe wrote one. I think these have been coming out sort of, like, on Wednesdays, I think, like new short story content every single week. Like, it has been a surprisingly creative time for Doctor Who to be made in this way. Obviously, you can't really do much in video or audio form necessarily. It's mostly just sort of been spoken word readings and short stories. But, like, kudos to BBC and Doctor Who for at least keeping that going. It's funny that I don't know if this is like a standard year of production, like last year, if we would have even had this. Oddly enough, it takes a global pandemic to get short stories out of writers for Doctor Who.
The thought crossed my mind because we surpassed the threshold long ago. There's been way more new Doctor Who content this year than we had last year at this point.
Oh, yeah. Totally. Even just by one short story, we had more content than the one picture of the Jadoon that we had.
Yeah.
It's a new wilderness year.
Well, it's a wilderness year for a lot of us. Let's face it. The one thing. So there was a children in need thing. BBC was Big Night In.
The Big Night In, which was children in need and comic relief co thing, hosted chiefly by Lenny Henry.
Right.
Big Doctor Who fan himself.
In Doctor Who, Sir Lenny Henry.
There was a segment. I watched the whole thing, and there was a segment featuring Don French for Vicar of Dibley. Don French and Lenny Henry were married for years and years and years and years and years, and then stopped being married. And it was amusing because Lenny Henry neither introduced nor even recognized Don French's participation.
Well,
it's kind of cold, really.
I'm glad you singled that out after a night of they raised $65 million for charity and stuff, and Chris finds out the time the ex-couple was cold to each other on TV. The reason I bring
Let's help NHS. Now I hate my wife.
Yeah,
it was the positives were plenty. Like there was a segment.
You're going to mention the negative first. I understand. Go for it.
That's what I do. It's not negative. The amusing. It went out on Thursday. Thursday is the day for the weekly clap for the NHS thing.
All right.
And there's a segment with Stephen Fry and Prince William, as a lead-in to the clapping for the NHS frontline staff, which was actually quite good and touching. It was actually. Allegedly supposed to be the grandson of Melchett from Blackadder 4.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Stephen Fry playing Melchett, the grandson of Melchett from Blackadder 4.
That is amazing.
There's only one thing I can say to that. And
that is
awesome.
Yeah, yeah. Wow.
With mentions of Blackadder and Baldrick, but no actual Tony Robinson or
Rowan Atkinson. Wow. Well, there was a Doctor Who connection. 10 Doctors Who on...
2 Doctor Who connections.
Well, no, I'm talking about... I'm leading into the thing that we're actually talking about this for.
I know.
10 Doctors Who appeared to say thank you in an edited video. That being every single Doctor apart from Eccleston, who is currently with us, Joe Martin works her way in there too because she's a doctor, and so she was there, and it was a lovely thing, and it was a cool moment. It was a cool video with all the Doctors Who there, saying thanks to NHS workers and everything. It was neat seeing all the doctors in one video like that, a la the end of the day.
I
of the
may
Doctor.
have experienced feels.
I did a little
There's a
bit.
feel or two.
For a 90-second piece, it was. Speaking of the funny parts again, especially Tom Baker. So everyone, all the participants said a certain word, and they thanks or whatever. But Tom Baker took his line and turned it into a question.
Oh, because he's Tom Baker. Yeah,
he's Tom Baker. He completely differentiated himself from everybody else participating. It was glorious. It was so Tom Baker.
Mm-hmm. Sylvester McCoy sort of, Sylvester McCoy's got that look where you're looking at your phone and you've turned on the camera and it's accidentally the front facing camera instead of what you want. And then that's what his is, which I thought was pretty much perfect Sylvester McCoy. So that was a nice moment from Doctor Who for the big night in. What else has been happening?
There was also a Little Britain segment that Tom Baker did the introduction for because he does the voiceover and narration stuff for Little Britain.
That he does.
So.
That he does indeed. There's the Doctor Who figurine people. Eagle Moss has been putting all those Doctor Who figurines that aren't actual action dollies. They all come in these little six-sided dais and stuff, and so they're more for posing than playing. But then again, I was going to say who plays with their action dollies? One of the people on this very podcast, of course.
I create art
with them. One of the newest things that's coming out now is a figurine-sized version of the season 14 TARDIS console, perhaps to go with your diorama that came in the most recent Doctor Who magazine. Now, Warren, you actually have already made a solution, or you have a solution
I
for
haven't made
sent
it.
to you.
Jeff Fink made it.
The 3D
it
printed.
I have a similar looking dolly scale 14th Doctor console and a Chumbly.
Yeah,
I might add.
Yeah, but this one would be too small, I believe, for your action dolly. So
that's right.
It's good that it's not tempting you like that. But
nope, I have, and this was probably cheaper. I got mine for $40 from a friend. So, and he made it himself. So I'm helping the local Edmonton economy, sort of.
Oh, well done, well done. Thanks
to the tune of $40.
Yeah, thanks for shopping local. Speaking of relatively local, Calgary Expo, unsurprisingly, canceled. It was originally scheduled for this weekend. It was going to happen this weekend, and then they bumped it to what I thought was surprising, a specific date, the one weekend before San Diego Comic-Con, and then when San Diego Comic-Con pulled out a couple weeks ago, the writing was on the wall for Calgary Expo, where Christopher Eccleston was slated to attend originally. It's no longer on. I can imagine, we've sort of just been focusing on ones that we go to. I imagine all the Wizard Worlds and other big Comic-Cons that have happened.
Dragon Con is still going ahead, though.
I was thinking about going to Star Trek Las Vegas. I got an email a couple days ago saying, Star Trek Las Vegas, here's the guests they're coming in. It's in August. I'm like, this is not happening.
No.
No.
Is this an automatic mailing list? What is happening?
Star Trek Las Vegas is Creation does those, and they have lots of money and they charge lots of money, so they get a lot of big names, and it's always a good thing to go to.
But as far as I can tell, they still think it's going to happen.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Or they weren't paying attention to their automatic mails.
Dragon Con seems to be saying they're still going ahead as well, but the thought is that they and possibly others as well are waiting for force majeure clauses to kick in so they can cancel without having to pay venues penalties or cancellation
which
fees
makes money
like
sense. It's just frustrating for everybody who doesn't know about that.
Yeah.
It does, and especially people who are making other related plans like flights and hotel bookings and
or already booked stuff. Yeah.
I mean, granted, a lot of places are being good and doing no penalty cancellations and things like that, but that may not always happen going forward.
Nope.
Chip, your thoughts on conventions in general?
You've been to Dragon Con, Chip. I mean,
yeah,
that's 80,000 people, so that's a lot of bodies.
That's an awful lot of bodies. I conventions have fed me emotionally for so long. Finding my tribe at Galley after training myself up for it at Hurricane Who all those years ago.
Oh yeah, Hurricane Who. Wow, forgot about that.
Yeah. We're bringing out the deep cuts, but. I just don't know. I just don't know when the world decides that it's safe to have conventions again. I don't know when I'm going to feel like it's safe.
Yeah. Exactly. I've thought that same thing myself. It's like, when am I ready to do this?
Yeah. Well, that's the big thing is restaurants, movie theaters, conventions, like anything where there's
Concerts.
Yeah, anything like that. It's not just when will it happen again. There's going to be a lot of people like, when am I ready for this? When will
Which is
I be
completely fair.
Yeah, because there's a massive psychological aspect you have to.
I actually saw Julia Kayam. She's a national security expert, and she said when Trump was saying we're going to open up, she's like, "What, you're going to tell me to go to my house? It's not going to happen. I'll decide."
Yeah, it's a thing. I mean, we'll see where we are. We're kind of lucky, if you will, that this happened just after Gallifrey 1. Like, literally the most possible time between Gallifrey 1s is when we were hit with a global pandemic. Where's the world going to be in February? As Robert Smith said last week, we've successfully eradicated two diseases in human history.
What's the other one? Smallpox is one. What's the other
Smallpox and some other one for I can't remember which one it was.
Polio, I thought, was eradicated. No?
It wasn't.
Well, we haven't eradicated. We have a vaccine.
It was eradicated. Yeah. So the waiting for the vaccine, like everyone just sort of like the science will come up with the vaccine. It might happen. It might happen a long time from now. I think society will probably open once. We not necessarily when we're knowledgeable enough to cure it, but knowledgeable enough to live with the circumstances and deal with it. Be it like
and that's what happened with HIV.
With
right?
HIV, exactly.
And that took 30 years or 20, really.
So it's going to be like, you're right. It's going to be like, how comfortable are you in going to a place?
The other thing about this is all the research that's going into coronavirus is research is not going into other things, which are still harming us.
Yeah.
But we have been preaching the importance of getting flu vaccines before going to conventions and things like that for years. Bless, our friends at Verity were doing the planning the handout hand sanitizer stuff well before coronavirus was even part of the common conversation.
Well, the crud has always been a thing.
Yeah, it has been. So we've always been aware of the need to take care of ourselves in convention spaces, and we've yet been going because it's so important to us. It's not going to have to be perfect for people to feel safe enough to get together again, but it is going to have to be a lot better.
Yeah. It's weird to think about those things right now. Like, I can't really think about like, oh yeah, everything's fine. Come to a thing. Like, it's you're right, Warren. It's just like you can't tell people to leave their homes.
No.
And right now I feel like I tweeted this out last week about how I feel like that first week where everything was sort of going into lockdown, like in steps, that first week felt longer than all the weeks since, basically. Like, I just like, oh my God, like only 1 week ago this Wednesday, I was at a hockey game, and now suddenly everything is completely closed down. Now it's the new normal. Like, now we're just sort of stuck in this new routine of ours.
And almost used to it in a weird way.
Yeah.
It's an irritating pain in the butt.
That's the weird thing about it, is that it's becoming, as many people have said, the new normal. But so,
having said that, I'm saving money and eating healthy. So,
well, I'm saving money. I'm not. Sometimes I eat healthy as much as I can, but
I don't know how much money I'm saving by doing this. I keep the problem is the internet is still there, which is a great source of communication and entertainment, but also shopping. Like
true.
yeah.
True. And I bought the odd thing here and there, but honestly, other than groceries, I'm not spending money outside the world at all. I'm not buying. I'm not going out to anything. Obviously, I'm not really. We order in once a week, like one time a week we order in.
Yeah,
and that's kind of our treat for the week. So,
because I mean, things like going out to the movies or something, which is not a cheap proposition, versus now places putting stuff on streaming services a lot earlier. Like, you get what was it, Onward came on the theaters 2 weeks and then they threw it on
Pixar
streaming
movie,
because there's nobody going to cinemas, so hey, there's a market for streaming. You can pay your $8-10, whatever it was, and rent movies that otherwise would have been in the cinemas, and even that's a less expensive prospect than it would have been going to go see X, Y, or Z.
Yeah.
Plus, like places like Disney Plus accelerating schedules for things that have no extra cost.
Yeah. Chip, you said you got back into podcasts as we wrap the segment before we move on to the commentary. What stuff? Now, first I have to ask: did 2MTL emerge from its hiatus because you were on this podcast, or was it going to happen anyway? That's what I want to know.
It was going to happen anyway.
Good. Okay. And did you already mention it? I know we talked about it before we actually got on mic, but that was a long time ago, I feel. So what podcasts are coming down the pipe there, Chip, in the next day? Maybe they're already out right now, actually, probably the time you listen to this.
Well, in your feeds right now is a time dilation episode of 2MTL, my return after about a month and a half. It's a conversation with Graham Burke. Like he and Robert Smith did with you before, we're going to talk a little bit about the Who is the Doctor 2, and also just sort of catch up on where we are as fans in the current situation, and what it's like to be a Doctor Who fan in our own homes. Mm-hmm. And Warren and I have been, along with Jen Burt and Katie Burt, we've been going through The Expanse, and we've got another episode of A Legitimate Salvage out, the penultimate one before the end of the 4th season. So we've been taking a slow cooker approach to each episode of the season that was dumped on us so long ago.
Yeah. You're almost done. You're almost wrapped it up then. I mean, there's season 5 coming at some point, but
Yep.
yeah.
Katie Burt was on set for that.
Wow. Yeah. How is that doing a weekly podcast per se for a series?
It's not that weekly.
No.
Yeah.
Well, exactly. You're not bound by a broadcast schedule. So now you're just like, we'll put them out whenever we get to them.
Well, I mean,
that's kind of it. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and we tried to keep a regular cadence, and then COVID, but but I mean, it's not like when Erica and Shannon and I were doing the audio guide to Babylon 5, it's not like we felt compelled to do every episode all at once. That too.
That's true. That's a good point, actually. Yeah.
So so just because the whole binging thing has gotten out of control, doesn't mean that we can't take the time to talk about individual episodes and give them their due.
Are you going to have a Tiger King podcast?
No.
Okay.
No, I've not watched that. Or as my sister said when she texted me the other day, what is this Tiger King BS? I had to explain. I haven't watched it.
Nor have I.
That would be the content of any Tiger King podcast. It would be that very statement. That would be into the podcast.
Yep. She might have used more than the B and the S.
That could be the title of the podcast.
Possibly.
I have this aversion, as Steven does too, I'm sure. And whenever people start screaming about something on Netflix, I'm like, nope, not for me.
Oh, yeah.
I haven't watched Russian Doll in 2 years for that very reason.
Yeah, certainly.
I'm sure it's good, but I'll never watch it.
Is it though?
The contrarian is strong among you.
You bet it is.
It was nominated for a Hugo, Warren. How bad could it be?
I'm sure it's, like I said, it's probably great, but just people yelling about it keeps me from watching it.
I've yet to try that.
It's like everyone is Tumblr now. Oh my God, you have to watch Avatar: The Last Airbender. No, I don't.
I've yet to watch that, but as far as like streaming stuff goes, I have been enjoying Little America. That's quite a heartwarming series.
Oh,
I'm sure there's plenty of good stuff out there. The minute people scream about it, Steven Universe, I'm looking at you. I'm not going to watch it. Is this a character flaw on my part? Probably.
And we wrap this segment with Chip, with Warren yells at people on his lawn.
Yep.
Old man yells at
Nobody
clouds.
specific.
No.
Just the clouds.
Chip, it's been wonderful catching up again. We must do this again sometime, even if not on a podcast and stuff like that. It's been just lovely to talk to you and hear you. We've talked more in these last 50 minutes than we ever did all of Gallifrey 1, it seems, because Gallifrey 1 is a crazy thing. Even though we're involved in the same live show, that's just the nature of it. So it's nice that we had this time together, Chip. So thank you.
It's been wonderful being on a Zoom call.
A non-work Zoom call.
Yeah, as all of our lives are these days. Perfect. 2minuteTimeLord.com. go check out Chip's 2 minute. I love 2TM.
That's
2MTL.
TWO minute time.
Yes, numeral 2 minute time. And of course, the legitimate Salvage as well. Links in the show notes for all of Chip's podcast endeavors. All right, after the break, we begin everyone our commentary series for Dalek War, aka Frontier in Space and Planet of the Daleks. Coming up, the first 2 episodes of our commentary of Frontier in Space. Welcome, everyone. Here it is. Finally, the podcast marathon that you were dreaming of.
I don't know if dreaming is the right word.
that you won't
Nightmares.
listen to. Well, you know what? You might save this up and listen to it in one go, but we are doing this in one go, one whole day. Thanks to you, Patreon supporters.
And thanks to self-isolation as well.
Yes. So a little bit of context. We listed on our Patreon website $150 per episode goal to watch the War Games all in one sitting. It happened so long ago that the Who Against Guns swept along and picked up the War Games for their own commentary. So we said, well, we can't also do the War Games. So we thought, let's go 2 louder. We turned it up to 12. We did, and watched. We're going to watch Frontier in Space, Planet of the Daleks. But then we said, well, hey, it's coming out on Blu-ray, so why don't we wait until that's out so it's more widely available for everyone. And then let's wait for a global pandemic so that we all have enough time to sit down and watch these episodes in one go. So here it is today. So we'll be watching all 12 episodes of these 2 stories from Season 10 of Doctor Who. Over the course of the next few episodes of podcast commentaries, we'll have special guests joining us for a couple of episodes at a time to keep us going through this unwieldy marathon. But the first 2 episodes are just us, and the first 2 episodes are Frontier in Space Parts 1 and 2. So I assume that you have your legally purchased DVD, Blu-ray, HD DVD, streaming copy that probably won't sync up with ours.
And it's also flipped visually.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, all at the ready. Good, because here we go. We're going to watch it. We're going to watch it, everyone. Frontier in Space, Episode 1 in 3, 2, 1, play.
You didn't mention Laserdisc in that
I didn't
or
mention
CED, the other poor cousin Laserdisc.
God.
Oh, yeah.
The only Pertwee story I can remember coming out on Laserdisc was Day of the Daleks.
Yes, definitely Day of the Daleks.
Day of the Daleks, $5. We've talked about this in the past. I know.
I think I
5 Doctors did.
having something on Laserdisc.
5
but I
Doctors
don't remember.
did.
Yeah. Malcolm Hulk, there we are, just to talk about what's actually on the screen. I'm sure
Look at
we're going to
that.
stay resolutely on topic
So-
for the next 12 episodes. Here.
Okay, so Pertwee's on record of talking about how he loves, as we'll get into later, the Draconians and
Yeah,
the fact that
spaceships.
they're only half masks and you can actually see actors doing eye and mouth movement and all that kind of stuff. One thing that does thankfully get talked about, but maybe not as talked about as that, is the models. The ship
models
models
are
in
great,
this are
yeah.
phenomenal.
Well, there's a
Also-
reason for that. Go on, Warren. I'll tell you the
I was
reason.
going to say, let's compare. To make up for that, we have these costumes, which are really impractical looking. Like all these switches and buttons, and they've got these,
thought-
I don't know what those are.
I thought
Muffs?
shoulder pads were more an 80s thing. But,
Yeah,
Good
and
gravy.
I
These
love
are
the big
ridiculous.
cuffs.
Anyway, keep going.
I like that they've got like a bit of a rolled up Afghan on. You know, they're like some foam on there. They just sort of like it's good. It's good like on long high flights. You basically just put your arm down and you have a pillow on your arm to sleep.
they're wearing ferrets on their shoulders, basically.
That too. No, the bulk of the I know this because I read the production notes. The bulk of the spaceship models were actually bought on a Jerry Anderson clearance sale, essentially, because he was done making these. Like I think so. Some of these spaceship models might have appeared in like Thunderbirds or other stuff. So that's why they have so many spaceships in this. They thought, well, we got spaceships. Let's use them. Let's put a space opera together.
Spaceship!
Yeah.
That is pretty great. Look at that. The cool. I mean, it's cool, but it's bad, but it's cool. The background speeding effect.
Yeah.
Yeah. And all they did was, tilt the camera to 45 degrees, probably.
I love that. I love the first appearance of the Doctor is through someone else's eyes, which is a rarity in Doctor Who. That might have been the first time we
especially
actually,
old Doctor Who.
Yeah, that might have been the first time we've seen the TARDIS fly through space, but
No.
properly anyway.
Well, it depends on your definition of
First
properly.
Pertwee or not?
Yeah.
Because I know what
maybe first
happened in the
Pertwee.
Troughton era.
Did it happen? Oh yeah, it's supposed to.
That light looks like crap.
Yeah, it does a bit.
It does not look good. It looks like it's slightly off where it's supposed to
Oh,
be.
the whole
too.
TARDIS. Look at that. Like the police box is like, wow, that is a
You can't
beat
even
up
see that
police
it
box.
says police public call box.
Yeah.
If it even does.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say. Yeah, I was gonna say I don't think it does. These stairs that look pretty nifty.
And probably my second favorite sign after security kitchen, danger, bulk flour.
It's like if they're
Clayton Hickman, why have you not done a danger bulk flour
I'm
t-shirt
sure he
yet?
has. I'm sure he has, hasn't he? Oh, he's got to have.
If he hasn't,
He is
then
Lord of
it's
Minutia,
time.
so yeah.
I'd like to think that perhaps here in the future, in 2540 or whatever year it is that there was like a massive gluten plague or something, and
Gluten plague, you say?
So this bulk flour is like just like
Well,
might
maybe-
as well be cyanide.
Maybe everyone's gluten intolerant in this era, and
could
the
be it.
flour is the weaponry. Like they're not
Exactly. This
shooting
entire
missiles. They're not shooting missiles. They're shooting flour.
This entire ship is a bomb.
A flour bomb. Yeah.
A flour bomb. And then they can have a whole movement of new hippies. They can be the flower children.
No, that's terrible.
Listen.
My rule with my dollies is I either buy stuff I need or stuff that is stupid. And I did this with comics way back when. So I have Sledgehammer #1, which I think is the only Sledgehammer comic ever. but I also have
David
an
Rash
issue of
vehicle.
Thor. Yes. And I also have an issue of Thor called The House That Dripped Dough. And I'm like, how can I not buy this? I can't remember why it dripped dough.
So basically, you're saying that Thor needs to get worked into this new narrative.
Yes.
The
yes.
house that dripped dough.
I'm like, wow, it must have been a Friday afternoon when they came up with that story idea.
Yeah.
I assume it was in the context of like the baking stuff rather than money.
I don't remember. I think it was baking. Like it was a house with dough coming out of it. So it's in a box under several boxes. So I'm never going to be able to find out.
Was this before or after Real Genius with the House of Popcorn?
Oh, I think this was the mid '70s when they were really
So
running out of
before.
ideas.
Okay. Oh, gosh.
And I'm sure Thor scholars will tell me otherwise. Actually, they were not running out of ideas. In fact, this when Betty Ray Bill, blah 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 blah. I don't care. The house stripped dough. The Draconian ship looks damn cool.
It does, doesn't it? It's slightly sexual, but
Well, okay. As are the Draconians.
then again, all
They kind of
rockets on space. Oh, I love the zooms. God, 1973 is the year
Oh,
of
the pan.
zooms.
Got a pan.
Got a little bit of tracking shot here, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a weird set in a way, in that the front of the set is like to the back. You can't see them, so they had to do this kind of awkward little side shot for most of these guys. This actor here, apparently, this is his last role as an actor. He suffered a stroke shortly after this, even though he was young.
I was going to make fun of his hair, but no, I can't.
No.
Speaking of Doctor Who actors, I was watching the Dark Crystal, the original movie, because I'd never really seen all of it before. And now we're going into Rise of Resistance.
Gelfling gone.
But watching it at the end, I actually finally, for once, did a Doctor Who actor thing. I'm like, hey, it's Michael Kilgariff.
Well, he's in this episode too, in all this
Oh, there
story
you go.
anyway. Yeah.
He plays, I don't remember who he plays. He plays one of the Sketskis or something.
Oh.
In this episode, he plays Joe Grant.
But the great thing is when you type up his name in Google, the first thing that comes up is the cyber controller.
Damn right.
That's as it should.
Those are good guns too, actually.
Uh-oh, he's got flower sickness.
This is what the flower-based hallucinations.
Not
He's
so
been snorting
good on,
flower this whole time.
not so good on the mask there for the Draconian, but
Yeah, that was just an extra.
Yeah, Drashig. I'm here for quality Drashig content. Also, I like that my character options Drashig doesn't look a lot worse than what that is.
it's probably from the same mold.
That wouldn't surprise me. Although character options is, how do I put this? Not consistent in their characters looking like characters.
It's quite something actually that had a Drashig in there, because this was Carnival of Monsters was shot at the very tail end of the previous production block, but held over to be the second story. Mm-hmm. But this was made before Carnival of Monsters even went out, so that's a That's a lot of confidence from Barry Letts thinking, oh, yeah, this monster's going to be a hit.
The clock
Totally
just
gonna
changed.
I do like how they haven't even shown it. Like, you don't really get a good glimpse at with the Draco. Like, you kind of do at the beginning there, but
Yeah.
not really. Like, they're making it still a little mysterious. Also, I've always wondered why ships, other than the fact that it's easy to build, have those lights that don't mean anything. Like that big panel of lights. Every
ship.
futuristic thing has got those.
Yeah.
Be-
Look at the
because
pinup
it
girls,
looks
by the way.
futuristic.
Look at the pinup girls on there. I'm not too sure that would pass
I remember
BBC
that.
censors. Yeah.
One of them looks like Missy.
A little bit.
Bottom one there.
Could you?
If you squint hard enough. That looks like Han Solo's pistol.
Well, after
Exactly.
having
That's what I was thinking, yeah.
after having the Sasha Dewan Master retconned into faceless ones.
That's true.
Oh, hold on. When did that happen? I missed that.
It's on a wanted
the-
poster. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a couple of wanted posters and faceless ones. I think it's episode 1 of the Master. One is the Delgado Master. One is the Sasha Dewan Master.
I would assume this is the animated version you're talking about, and that's some...
You are correct.
Yes.
Okay,
Oh
very
yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Oh, very futuristic. Isn't that like... You know what? I think that's actually a building from Brazil. I seen
You are
as a
correct.
kid
It
reading
is
about
the-
that in an encyclopedia.
Yep. It is the capital building in Brasilia.
And then in time, Stephen, as we'll get to the exterior of other things. You've gone down the South Bank and walked past the Draconian
Yes,
headquarters,
that's
right?
how I.
That nondescript gray cement brutalist architecture. Oh, it's so warm and fuzzy to me.
And unchanged after 40 years.
Yeah, well, you can't change brutalism, let me tell you.
Well, and BFI is in there. Or near it, anyway.
It's near. Yep.
There we go. Look at that.
John
Look
Wood.
at that.
I
And then
just
when
love
we
that
get to
she's like A, a great leader, and B, just has awesome dresses.
Well, what the script originally said, because this is written in the height of women's lib, as they called it at the time, and Malcolm Hulk said, this is, she's assured and everything. She is not the first female president of Earth, is what the script actually says. That's what I love about it. It's like, oh, so you're a woman? Like, that's not even remarked upon.
No,
Yeah.
you got Mystery Boy back here though.
Yeah.
doing a stare out the window and turn.
then, if memory serves from the bonus stuff, this was one of, I don't can't recall if it was her last acting gig or one of her last, but she stopped acting and went and became a psychologist or psychiatrist.
Good.
Who, Vera Fusek here?
Yeah.
That's a good turn from mere frippery to important matters.
Well, her granddaughter posted a blog post 3 or 4 years ago, I think it is now, where she wears not this dress, but the
I remember
the blue
that, yeah.
dress. Yeah, Vera Fusek took the dress home with her, and her granddaughter modeled it.
They really go to town on these dresses too. Like she got a ton of them.
The costuming in this, everything like Draconians, Earth, everyone.
And not to crap on 6 episodes hence, but Planet of the Daleks really doesn't measure up to this at all.
No, it doesn't. Although the funny thing is, of course, at the time, it's probably, we'll get through this frontier in space nonsense, but then, hey, Daleks.
Yeah,
What do you think of that?
Yeah. And then they're like, hey, Daleks. Now what do we do?
Yeah. Well, we just do what we always did with them.
And well, they go from ornate outfits to invisible people in fur.
Visible people in fur.
Stop, don't move.
Or psychedelic fur, if you will.
I guess it is kind of psychedelic. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh.
I cannot understand why they haven't brought the Draconians back.
I
They'd be
am
perfect.
surprised. I mean, they mentioned
they've
them in
been
what?
mentioned.
Yeah, Pandorica Opens, right?
At the very
Think
least,
so?
yes.
Yeah.
They definitely mentioned the Trepidals, who I'm going to say are their cousins, even though they aren't.
Pterodactyls, yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever. Adric disagrees.
Should we start a counter of how many times somebody gets locked up?
I think we that's a good idea, actually. Well, at least, they're locked up by Earth now, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, just locked up, because they get locked up back and forth, and the Master
Yeah.
gets locked up later. And spoilers,
So here's
Master's
one.
in this one.
This is the first one, then.
All right, you gonna keep a tally?
I do like that. Was it there? I can't remember if it happens here or later on. I wasn't paying attention, but how Joe goes, the doctor pulls out the Sonic and goes, Joe goes, oh, you'll better forget that. Bolts. I think that's exactly what the damn thing's for. It's for unscrewing bolts.
And it's not made of wood.
No,
I was
it's
gonna
not
say,
made of
are the
wood.
bolts made of wood?
I guess the Sonic was limited in its powers back then. It could set off landmines and stuff, but not open doors.
And honestly, the psychic
Landmines
paper
was
is a
so
bigger
last season.
gimme than the sonic screwdriver ever was.
That's common been, yeah. God, imagine if the Doctor had psychic paper in this.
Terrible idea.
But like that's 5 episodes gone right there.
They got enough get out of jail free cards. They don't need that.
Yeah.
Given it's the 70s and the waning hippie stuff, I mean, he'd have like psychedelic blotter paper, perhaps.
Oh dear. And this is only episode 1. Chris, by episode 12, you're going to be a complete menace.
Yeah.
Well, once the coffee kicks in and they get all jittery, yeah.
Jittery. Jo's wearing her same outfit from Carnival of Monsters, I believe, isn't she? I think she is. This is actually shot. This was first in the production block and for season 10 because I think Patrick Troughton's availability had them record the 3 Doctors when they recorded it, which is after this, but before Planet of the Daleks. Because Troughton was so busy being a good actor and being hireable.
How dare he?
Having a career outside of Doctor Who, the cad.
What a terrible person.
That was a rarity.
Kind of was, actually. I mean, Peter Davison.
Less so
knew how
now.
to do things. Yeah, certainly less so now, but
There wasn't as much history to go on back.
There's also a
back
lot more
for-
content
for-
to make now.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it is kind of funny when you think about it, how even the Doctors were kind of harmed by Peter Davison managed to pick up right off. Oh, I'll just become the busiest actor in television again after being the Doctor.
And he
for
did.
years.
Like he
did.
been in some good stuff. But let's have
But
one
like,
Doctor show he was in. It was quite good.
Yeah, but Tom Baker kind of was hit and miss. William Hartnell obviously was physically incapable of doing much. Troughton,
I think Colin Baker kind of got screwed over a bit, didn't he?
yeah, he did kind of. I think he mostly focused on the stage. And then
framing.
Pertwee sort of did a lot of like variety stuff, and then of course was Wilton Gummidge. That's Lewis Mahoney there, by the
New
way.
Montreal.
Who was the first black newsreader in BBC history, I think.
Was that
right
that's
there?
It's not the same guy that was in Blink, was it?
You are correct. It is the same guy as in Blink. Yeah,
Oh wow, that's awesome.
yeah. I have until the rain stops. Yeah.
I don't know why they have a cave wall as the background for the news, but
I don't know. I kind of like that. Yeah. Well, it's
I
funny
do like
because
that they just have the news on in the background. That's kind of cool.
yeah, the only CSO, everything else is like TV screens and stuff. But
But it does kind of, I mean, they're all walking around in crazy future outfits, but it does kind of lend a bit of normality to it. You know what I mean?
yeah,
I just realized we've broadcast wise we've seen the Time Lords, but this is before the Time Lords got the super big collars.
yes,
Well, and even then, in the 3 Doctors, they don't really get the proper stuff until Deadly Assassin.
yeah.
Yeah.
That is the iconic.
Yeah, which angered fans at the time, as it does.
Yeah. Ooh.
The Pertwee years, the era of the
Blowtorch.
blowtorch door.
Yeah.
Good old Ogrons.
Rather subtle reveal of the Ogrons there. Like
I think
even from
Ogron is an
behind.
anagram for roadie because they look like they're roadies. Don't they look like they should be unloading a truck for like Deep
I
Purple
do
or
kind
something?
of. I have about the same mental capacity too. No offense to the roadies out there, but
Well, I think they're probably rightfully offended actually by what you just said.
yeah, probably. They won't listen. So he finally gets it fixed. I mean, this is Malcolm Hulke's way of, let's have dialogue.
Are those radiation counters on their chest? What are those for?
Those are emblems. Everyone has an emblem on their chest, I think, as you'll notice throughout the course of this story.
It's an LCD screen so they can have different superhero crests. That's a great line.
So he gets out, and yeah, that's funny.
Yeah,
That's
see,
amusing.
Day of the Doctor tributed this.
Yeah.
An homage, if you will.
Yeah. Yeah, you idiot. This feels like the end of an episode right here, but it's not.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, the doctor's been shot.
I think it might have been.
Bruce's back is acting up.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it was. He wasn't actually supposed to fall. Here, I believe, is the original intended end of the episode, but it was running short, so they had to steal stuff from episode 2 because that's a
Wow. 6 minutes short.
6
Look
minutes
at
to
that
go.
glorious monitor.
isn't it? Look at that. I want that. I want the fringe and all. Like,
No, I mean the one, the circular, the cylindrical thing. That's beautiful.
I want
it's
that
ridiculous.
too.
Why is
why-
mostly cylinder?
Yeah.
I like how they integrate the yellow screen. Like they just just don't address it. It's just there.
It's just there, yeah. Because yes,
But
it was.
why does
mostly-
it have to be so jagged around the edges?
It was intentional. It was just like it's just part of the art. Like just part of the art. Like that's how TV was in
like-
2540. It's just
Like Battlestar Galactica having all the pieces of paper cut at the corners.
Yes, which they thought was a cool idea, and they realized, damn, we gotta do this for the
Until
whole
the-
show.
Until they went to series. Yeah.
Well, somebody got a. No, they did it all through the series too.
Oh, I know,
somebody
I
got a
do,
job
I
at
know.
that, so.
But they regretted it once they went to series.
Oh, so what? There was like some flunky there, the pair of scissors and all the paper.
There's
just
probably
cut-
some poor sucker PA having to do it.
Yeah, but the film industry is all about that. Here's one menial job. Now get paid a lot of money to do it, and then act all superior about it.
Oh
At least
yeah, like
that's the Vancouver way to do it.
like the people at Weta, basically rubbing their fingerprints off, creating chainmail for all the orcs and everyone on the orcs.
Yeah, but they had to create a lot of chainmail. Okay, so we got the second imprisonment here.
No, technically, well, yeah, I suppose it is because Joe was put in prison. I would just leave him for dead, but he gets in. So yeah, technically, she was in prison. So that's 2.
That's 2.
Okay. And this is for humans right now. So
If we were doing like an in-vision commentary, number 1, sorry, we would never do that. Number 2, we could have a little counter like in the bottom corner or something like they did when South Park said the S word.
I think what we need Ben Morris, who did a lot of the artwork for Doctor Who magazine and of course for Who Graphica and stuff like his. I think we need like a chart in Who Graphica about who gets captured.
Maybe there is one. You bought the book. I didn't.
There might be. I might have to drag it out in between episodes, but
Last minute, get Simon Garrier on. He can tell us.
you can tell us.
He
Simon.
wrote the darn thing.
Yeah.
Now tell us about something visual in an auditory medium.
Yeah, well, that's what we're doing right now.
Yorgons are mercenaries, which implies that they're smart enough to be like independent businessmen, which I'm not sure they are.
Could you? So, if they're mercenaries, that means they must have like a hierarchy in an office someplace,
Yeah.
like somebody.
We're going to
doing
pay you in
admin
cake.
work.
Sound equitable.
There's like some Ogron accountant someplace crunching the numbers about what to charge.
Oh, listen, if we could have Ogron accounts and Brota in the middle management Zygon in the ultimate fanfic of the decade.
Little half moon glasses perched in the end of his nose.
One of them traditional green translucent hat things.
Yeah, for some reason, why are they wearing the visors?
and the arm band things.
There's good in everyone you know, Joe. Oh, that's awfully hopeful of you, Doc.
Look after them. You have no medical expertise, but could you please look after them? Drag them from one end to the other.
Yeah,
It's like if somebody put the door back together.
they did. They actually mentioned that. Very convenient. Nice Ogrons. Oh, you'll see. You'll get a better look at him, Warren, but you will recognize that actor when he appears on screen.
Is that Michael Kilgariff?
It's not Michael Kilgariff, no.
Well, that was worth a shot.
Michael, he might have been. I don't know which Ogron Michael Kilgariff plays, but he is one of them, along with Rick Lester and Stephen Thorne. Actually, Omega himself.
These
yeah.
chairs have seen better days.
Yeah.
They're like basically in the den chairs.
Yeah, it's the milk run, basically, this spaceship.
I suppose it is a crap spaceship, yeah.
Yeah. I'm sure that's what the designer was intending. Oh, these are brand new. But hey, as Sue Perryman has said, the color of the 1970s was brown.
It very much was.
See, she did a good job. Perched him up, gave him some water. Came from somewhere.
Look at that.
Here we go.
These are even more stupid outfits.
Do you recognize that cat? You probably don't. We don't have a close-up of him
know.
yet.
He looks familiar, but I can't. Go ahead.
It is Sandbagger 1, Ray London, everyone. It's
Oh my
Willie
God.
Kane. You bet.
You're right.
Well,
Nice.
tough luck. That's great. It's just such a great gruff performance, too.
Like, what is the point of this? Why do we need giant puffy shoulders and then big bandoliers on top of that?
That way they look imposing.
I
I mean, they look cool in a stupid way, but
Don't the helmets? Didn't like a recent Star Wars or Star Trek have helmets that are not entirely unlike that?
well,
Oh?
in the movies, the security guys had like sort of old timey football helmets, which kind of look like that.
Yeah, I'm talking about like new movie, like new stuff. But anyway,
Oh,
it's in
maybe.
episode
I don't know.
one.
I don't pay attention to
President of
those
Earth.
films that never
I
happen.
love that.
They
That's
don't
a hell of
actually
a
give her
credit.
name.
No, doesn't need one. Does she have a name in this? I don't even know what she does. Gardner, Ray Lonan. Trying to recognize any other names here.
Louis
Mahoney.
as you said.
Gosh, wow. What? Carol Hagar's agent needs a raise. She gets her own screen for her minuscule credit of secretary.
I wonder if that was like I would say they forgot and then they had to fit her in at the end.
I don't think
Somebody
so.
on
But
charge. Well, that's
yeah.
there are ways when you screw up credits to fix them.
Mm-hmm. Oh, there we are. That's episode 1 of the books. That was fun. I love the story so much. I'm glad we're doing a commentary on it. So everyone, please fire up episode 2 of Frontier in Space so that we may begin. Are you all ready?
Indeed.
Sure.
Okay, here we go. Frontier in Space, part 2 in 3, 2, 1, play. And there's Darth Vader's head in there somewhere. I think we used
I was just about to say the same thing. Not a new insight by any means, but
No. It's the 50th time, I believe, that we've mentioned that on a commentary for Pertwee in this podcast.
Oh, look, it was the Paul McGann logo.
I actually ran into a puppy the other day because, given the current pandemic, the only time we're out is when we're hiking.
Right.
And a puppy came up to me, and his name was Vader, and he was indeed
Vader.
a beautiful. I don't know what breed he was, but his fur was black.
Oh.
So not only do we have short episodes, we have long-ass reprises.
We do.
I assume it's the same with the Brits, but I remember reading somewhere the reason that the reprises are different is that that's a union thing. Like if you come back from commercial and you had just used footage that had previously been shot, then you're kind of screwing over the actor. And in fact, you'd have to pay them for rerun stuff. So to get around that, you just shoot something slightly different.
Well, they mostly just use the same. I mean, this is all the same.
Yeah, I mean, it might be different here, right? With the BBC, where you're not dealing with that. But with American TV, whenever you see a slightly different version of the same thing,
I see what you mean.
recap, it was because of the union rules that you couldn't screw an actor out of, he's being paid, so you can't just reuse his thing.
Oh, I'm sure they had to reuse. I'm sure anyone who's in episode 1 and the tail end of episode 1 and nothing further gets paid.
Yeah, I don't know how the rules work in England, especially
Yeah.
with something that isn't ad-based.
It's a hell of a gig then for Ray Lonan, who just appears at the very end of episode 1, but gets paid for it.
Also, I love how he says having a fancy dress party. You guys look way more ridiculous.
Yeah, look at you. Yeah, you should talk.
It's all,
You look like a micronaut, dude.
it's all relative.
Also, I'm dropping that sweet micronaut. Nothing. Come on.
I don't know what a Micronaut is.
Micronauts were like a not so popular toy from the 70s, but
There you
a
go.
fairly popular comic book series from Marvel based on the toy. Just like
Marvel.
ROM. ROM never really went anywhere as a toy, but it was a hugely successful, comparatively, comic book.
That's what powers computers now, isn't it, Rom?
Yes. I'm waiting for Marvel to delve so deep into their like Disney Plus archives that they have a ROM series.
Oh, I'm sure it'll happen.
2 minutes and 20 seconds for the reprise.
The reprise? Wow.
and the opening titles, of course.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what this helmet, like what it does for them. I guess maybe those are headphones.
I think they're headphones. Yeah, I think they're just Beats headphones, basically, with the chin strap on them.
That's right. Dr. Dre and what's his name, Jimmy Iovine, were inspired by Frontier in Space.
And this is pre-Princess Leia as well. By a good few years.
Yes. Oh, we're locked up again. 3.
That 3? Okay.
They've been locked in that same holding cell 3 times.
It's important to keep track of this stuff.
Yeah, it is.
Given how many times it happens, it's
Yeah.
something to do.
Let's say indetainment. Well, I suppose being moved from one thing to another isn't. So we'll skip that. But like actual.
We'll see what happens. We'll make
Man,
that
the
decision
70s
as
were
we
a
come across
blocky
them.
time.
Yeah.
Chunky things.
Good old 1970s.
Every piece of equipment is huge.
I always love how like Joe is always like trying to do the thinking and stuff, and Pertwee's just sitting there like, yeah.
It's been done. I did all this.
This
is cute
isn't
that
quite
you're trying.
Vincent on Veras moping. Is that the one I'm thinking of, where the Doctor just gives up?
Yeah.
Yep.
That was in the TARDIS, but yeah. These two big gangsters.
I believe it's called The Long Good Friday. Perishing Panda. I'm going to use that. Or a common house cat. This has all sorts of psychological repercussions they don't actually go into at all.
No, it isn't. Like this would be the thing. Like man, this is.
Yeah, like you'd be psychologically wounded by all this.
This would be the crux of an episode if it was made today. Ogrons. I do like the Ogrons.
Listen,
They're not
they're
smart
just-
enough to make the hallucinatory device, but damn it, they can keep track of their own admin work.
Exactly. I was going to say, like, you're why slag off this really struggling small business? They're
Yeah.
just trying. Come on.
Wily accountants at the very least, but
Exactly.
apart from that,
To quote Sunmakers. The line that won my dad over on Doctor Who. Oh, no, my dear Chapel. He needs a wily accountant.
stowaways. We got to hear. I have an all-time Doctor Who count for the word stowaway.
It's
They're
probably
always-
here.
I don't
Yeah.
know if that
This is
number
a fine looking
exists.
office, I have to say.
I know. I can't remember. I can't the name of the designer. I think she's of Czech or Slovak origin, based on her name.
Something Slavic
Yeah.
sounding by the name. Yeah,
I wonder if that informed her sensibilities, perhaps.
It does look a little Eastern European, yeah.
Yeah. I mean that's a cool thing. I mean, Malcolm Hulke, renowned communist that he was, sort of like wrote this to sort of like, each side has good and bad agents acting out for them, and they're both just sort of reacting out of fear. So like, the Earth is sort of like the more brutalist, and then when we see the draconian artwork, like motif and stuff, it's a little more artistic. Do like that collar though. I mean, it's probably terrible to wear. You cannot see anything. You're just sort of like everywhere out of the corner of your eye. There's this giant collar
Yeah, you
menacing
keep
you.
fight or flighting. Ah!
what
Yeah.
peripheral vision?
Ba-ba-boom. There you go. Now you can see him without the
Some nice
helmet on.
shadows there, too, actually.
Yeah, coming up on number 4 here.
Oh yeah, there we go. Welcome to your new home for the next couple episodes.
Yeah, off and on, yeah.
It's quite something that you could base a whole story around. The Doctor and Joe being locked up.
That was the challenge. Okay, Hulk, here's what you gotta do. Work in the Cold War, but have him in prison a lot. And no Gulag Archipelago references.
It's like the first series of the revamped series. The writers fought to put certain words into their episodes, and this one they probably did some bidding war. Hulk's like,
Yeah.
I can do 4 containment scenes. Les is like, no, I think you can do 5. I can do 6. Said Hulk.
Well, I see your containment scenes and I raise you
It's
a
like
CSO.
name that tune, but with prison cells.
Yeah, like
This is getting weird.
Like I think Radiohead held an informal contest amongst the band members to write a song that had the most chord changes, and Johnny Campbell? No, God, it's been so long. Anyway, one of them won with Just, which is the you did it to yourself. You did that's what's killing you. It's a good song. Ton of key changes. I played it in a band once, and it's like, holy crap! Look at all these key changes, or chord changes, not key changes.
Yeah, but you play the drums, so you don't have that problem.
Yeah, but I like to know when they happen because I'm often the person who people turn to and go, "Where are we in the song?" And I have to sort of like nod along.
Well, that is the point of the drummer, is to keep time and
be the director. But
yeah,
not really. Maybe I was that way, but we have a lot of these scenes. There's a ton of moments of charm over the next few episodes here with Pert getting a lot of jokes, and there's all the costumes in one go. Look at all that. Look at those collars, shoulders. God, well, this is the future I want. Look at those shoes. Look at the gold shoes he's wearing.
The future you want is 1973.
How impractical is it to wear the gun like at your front?
I don't know. It's right there. Like, why are you reaching beside you?
It looks badass, but I bet you it is.
It looks like the holster's held in place by a fruit roll-up.
I kind of miss fruit. I haven't had a fruit roll-up in a long time. A long, long time.
Not since they added meat and you went. Well, no, they have gelatin in them, don't they? Probably.
I haven't checked the ingredients in a long time.
Given you don't eat meat and cannot eat gelatin if it's in there.
Yeah.
I have to say, having a vegetarian girlfriend during this time of plague, it is easier to find vegetarian options than it used to be.
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
it is.
Because all the other stuff's taken.
Yeah.
Everything's gone, but nobody wants the Yves breakfast rounds, and we're like, done. We're having these.
Mm-hmm. There's a very Japanese nature to the Draconians. Sort of a samurai warrior element to the collars, the upturn.
Well, everybody was ripping off the samurais around Star Wars at the same time.
That's true.
Yeah.
I mean, Star Wars is a direct ripoff of Hidden Fortress, which is, as samurai as it gets, so.
If we counted Zooms from Paul Bernard, the director of this, we'd run out of time. We wouldn't be able to do it. He does like them, though.
I gotta say, going from a tiny prison barge right to the president seems a little...
It's true.
Bit of a stretch.
Well, I mean, it's a big enough incident, I guess, to warrant the attention of the president.
Yeah. International incident here, Warren. This is serious business. This is why you're not president.
They're so good.
Interplanetary, intercultural.
I think we've made this comparison before, but they're kind of like the Klingons. They're kind of like the Klingons mushed with the Romulans, because the Romulans are real stick-in-the-butt types.
And yet, of course, with better makeup, too, at the time. Because at the time, Klingon makeup was just
it was
green
terrible.
paint.
It was borderline questionable.
It's a little bit questionable.
Featuring our favorite Canadian Klingon actor, John Colicos.
John Colicos.
Starlost.
Yeah.
Yeah. Has his own plaque in a bar in Toronto.
I want to say that they're here we go. Here's the
go.
BFI. Here's the BFI. I've been. This is one of the few Doctor Who locations that I've been to. Warren and I were running up. I don't know if you ran up the stairs.
Yes.
I never went up the stairs or anything.
No.
Just walked past the building.
Our friend Simon Harries, whose voice you hear in the end credits, took us up here and because he knew what we wanted to see. Oh, there's the London Eye. There's Big Ben. No. I want to see the concrete from Frontier in Space. Pert's got a different bouffant because it's location filming. Just like we'll see with Katie Manning in Planet of the Daleks. Location hair is a thing.
Ew, that sounds bad somehow.
It does sound bad, yeah. Oh,
number 5.
This could be number 5 coming up.
Yep,
it is. Yeah, it just marched right back.
Same cell,
right
or
back.
Same set anyway.
Yeah.
So we're halfway through episode 2. That's 5 so far.
That's 5 imprisonments. That's quite something.
When is the spacewalk? Which the very much derided spacewalk, which I love.
Oh, long time, like episode 5 or something like that. Maybe 4.
I think it's great.
The old Sonic. Oh, let's give it a shot. And
It's
no.
a conventional electronic lock, but it's also old-fashioned.
Yeah.
You know what I don't, like he didn't say? He didn't say it's deadlock sealed. I've grown to hate that term.
Oh god, that's been a bugbear for the new series forever for
Yeah.
me.
Here
Ooh,
we go.
dissolve.
What the hell does it mean?
Yeah.
Ooh, art.
Look at that. I want that light fixture in my house. Look at see now. This is opulent.
This is some 70s
design.
gloriousness. Look at that white chair. Oh my god.
What is
so
that? Looks
good.
like a cork head on the desk there or something. I don't know what's going on.
Well, yeah, that's
Yeah,
a TV.
kinda.
I remember in the Sears catalog when I was a kid, like around 1980 or so, they would sell spherical TVs like that.
What? Come on. Oh, I
Well,
want
like
one of
because
those.
because a cathode ray tube is kind of spherical to begin with, or it's like curved anyway,
That's
right?
true.
So you could do it.
So where did they get those medals from, I wonder? Was it like participation medals in the Draconian Olympics?
Whoa. That is an assault on the history and culture of the Draconians. They do kind of look like halves of dodecahedron. Are they medals or maybe they are the dodecahedron?
Well, there's technically 7-sided with the back, I suppose, but
Yeah.
it's like a half a dodecahedron.
That's what I mean. Like maybe like half one.
A demi-dodecahedron, if you will.
Yeah.
Demi-dodecahedron.
They're half Draconian and half Tigellin.
Thanks thee to die. It's a shame we never made a Patreon goal of Meglos commentary. I'm sure we've already done that, but just like doing Meglos commentaries. That's
You know who's saying it isn't a shame?
could look
Pretty
it
much
up.
everybody.
I think we did.
I think.
Why do lizards? Why do lizards have beards?
Why do they have like pseudo mohawks?
Yeah.
Yeah, but those are at least part of their head. Like that's a fin or something. These beards
Yeah.
don't make any evolutionary sense.
No, but
Except the dinosaurs had feathers, so maybe that's what that is.
yeah. Thank you. I think they're just stunning. You're right.
I
Why
like
have
how
they never come back?
like dinosaurs have feathers, but we all just go, yeah, whatever. We just kind of brush it aside because it doesn't look as cool.
Yeah, exactly.
Even though it's probably absolutely true.
Listen, we've already made Jurassic Park, all right, and Invasion of the Dinosaurs. We ain't going back. This is how they looked.
Yes, I like how the second keystone dinosaur looks as Invasion of the Dinosaurs.
You bet.
Wow. All the way back in July 2010, episode 205, The Chronic Hysterectomy. We
There
did
we are.
commentary for Megalos.
I remember that.
That is a questionable name we threw in there.
It is. I apologize from
I also apologize for past us.
10 years ago.
Yeah.
Are they coming? Are they coming back? Oh, they're coming back. That's right, because this is here we go. It's bust them out. They just took them there. If you watch this episode with like no captions or no dot and just didn't like see anything, it's just like they just keep getting wheeled back and forth from prison cell to prison cell. It's almost a Dr. Light episode. Like nowadays, you say, let's just spend one day with Pertwee and Manning just shooting in the same prison cell.
Isn't that guy a little short to be a stormtrooper?
Baha.
Yes, quite. He is actually really short. And I say this is a short man.
A Shortman.
Like Jason Shortman, the actor?
Here we are again. Oh, uh-oh. That's a plot.
That's a plot.
Yeah. That's pretty risky here by the... I mean, they had to basically ensure that... Well, no, obviously...
That's the worst college panty raid ever.
I'm,
Is there a best college panty raid ever? Animal House, maybe, I guess?
That was a dicey situation by the Draconians there. Surprised they didn't get their wrist slapped more than they will.
Okay, so I'm going to ask a really dumb question here.
All right.
So they've got the auditory thing to trick people into seeing something else. Given
The perception filter, if you will.
sure, whatever you want to call it. given there are probably like, CCTV type cameras around, what would they record? Would they like, they should be impartial, right? They should actually show the Ogrons or the whatever.
You'd think so, yeah.
Oh, maybe they fool that technology too. I don't know.
Like, obviously, Britain wasn't the CCTV haven? Wrong word. Bad word. Anyway, the CCTV culture that it is now back in 1973, but still, there got to be something around, right? And
Yeah.
you'd think they'd have some footage to check and verify that what they're saying is or isn't right.
Well, have we seen this? Actually, we do kind of see some. I know that somewhere on a monitor, maybe it's the Mind Probe later on, where we see some actual clips of the previous episode. But maybe they don't have. Maybe they said, you know what? Let's not have CCTV anymore. No. Let's stop it.
I doubt it.
And why wouldn't
I really
they?
doubt systems of government would give up on control.
Well, maybe things happened. Something happened. Oh. No, not the Mind Probe.
Yeah, fine, the Mind Probe, sure, whatever. I like how Mind Probe is basically just Guantanamo.
Does this count as 6? This is 6 right here, right?
I don't know if this counts as
not
6.
really in a
This is
cell.
interrogation. It's not, yeah.
Well, he is captured, though. Oh, so we're just limiting this to cells, then. Is that right?
We might as well.
Well, yeah, but if you count this, do you also count Joe in the prior scene?
That's a good point.
Or them meeting the president with guards
Okay.
around them.
Yeah, let's just stick with cells then. Yeah,
Yeah, it's a good barrels out of control.
such a
I mean,
gray area.
you're right. He's detained, but
On Draconia, there are no prisons. There's only the waiting zone.
I want to know what the hell that is. I think that's like Earth with a giant city on it. It's like an animation when you see the Earth come up and then the exaggerated city that they zoom into.
Yeah.
that's what that thing is.
It's like a Game of Thrones opening title sequence.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or a Klasky Chupo animation from like Duckman or something.
Chuck, man. See, apparently this guy's younger because his beard is like not gray, where his advisor has gray. He's a gray beard. Apparently, there you go. This guy.
That is a jaunty ass beard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and it's like split down the middle. Yeah. As was the other one, but yeah.
There's a plot. Yes, it involves me and Joe getting taken prisoner everywhere. Oh, wait for it. There's Pertwee. There's Pertwee. That's Pertwee. That's Terry
Wow,
Walsh.
that's impressive.
That's Terry Walsh. That's Terry Walsh. That's Terry Walsh.
Yeah, but still, taking out 3 of these dudes is still pretty
Yeah.
impressive.
And the rollback.
There's
in the
Terry
shirt.
Walsh. Terry Walsh. There's Terry Walsh.
Also, I love how these diplomats basically are chasing after him. No, wait.
That's
There's
Pertwee.
There's Pertwee. Aye. Oh, I should have fallen over. There's Terry Walsh. Pertwee. There we are. Oh, I love the escape. Oh, there's Pat Gorman on the left there. You can see him there.
6?
This counts as 6. Yeah, we'll
Yeah.
call this 6. And it doesn't have to be both of them, just one or both
Yeah.
in a cell. Yeah.
And later on when the master gets imprisoned as well. Or
Yeah.
in a cell.
We won't count the master, just the doctor and or Joe.
Why?
Although I think the master's
imprisonments
mostly
in general, I think. should
Yeah,
be.
well, the master's in the cell with them later on, so it's
And also separately, but yeah.
yeah.
We'll figure that out later.
Yeah. It's a whole part, but we're up to 6. That's
Yep.
That's the thing that we need to confirm here.
High-pitched bleeping.
Oh no, something's happening at the BFI.
I pledge bleeping. Great. That's almost as good as whining intensifies, the screen cap I got for whenever
Yeah.
nerds get angry on the internet. So always. I wonder if these guys, it's a plus or a minus that the Daleks hired them. Like, did they put that in the resume or no?
Hired by Daleks.
Well, somewhere on their website they're going to have a page of clients, right?
Of clients, yeah, exactly. Daleks, Draconians.
Yeah, that Ogron webmaster, he's a whiz.
You just know that's an Angel Fire thing with a little construction guy at the bottom of it.
Ogron use GeoCities.
Oh God.
I think what they should have, maybe not have the Ogron say, "You come," like so that doesn't look like a rescue attempt. But maybe it just looks like he's gonna shoot the Doctor and Joe. But you get the point that they're probably not gonna do that.
Carol Hagar.
Yeah, Hagar.
Which is a great metal name.
Carol
Hagar,
Lead singer Carol Hagar.
Mother of Sammy.
I don't know, Thunder Nails or something.
Yeah. Little Sammy Hagar.
There's Cynthia
Clucho. Yeah, we'll say Clucho, I think. Right? Well, there we are. Look at that. We're 1/6 of the way through this this day of commentating on Doctor Who, Frontier in Space, Planet of the Daleks. The day will continue for us, but the episode that you're listening to will wrap up right now. Next episode will be Frontier in Space, episodes 3 and 4, with a special guest. So join us for that, won't you? Until then, I am Stephen in Edmonton.
Warren in Vancouver.
And Chris in Edmonton.
So long for now.
You've been listening to Radio Free Skaro. Find us online at radiofreeskaro.com. Follow us on Twitter and Tumblr at Radio Free Skaro. Subscribe to us on iTunes and donate to the show at patreon.com/Radio Free Skaro. Thank you.